These 5 habits are secretly lowering your frequency. Stop them instantly. We often talk about raising our frequency, about aligning with higher vibrations, about stepping into a state of flow where life just seems to unfold effortlessly. But what if I told you that some of the things you do every single day without even realizing it are secretly lowering your frequency? What if I told you that these invisible habits are creating resistance, keeping you stuck, making you feel drained, disconnected, and out of alignment with your highest self? Today, we're going to uncover 5 of these hidden habits. Some of them might be obvious, but others will shock you. And the moment you become aware of them, you'll start to notice how they've been shaping your reality. You'll start to see how they've been pulling you away from the life you truly desire. And once you eliminate them, you'll feel lighter, more powerful, more in tune with your purpose. But first, let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just okay, not just fine, but fully, deeply alive. If you can't remember, then maybe, just maybe, one of these habits is the reason why. Let's start with the first habit: negative self-talk. You might think this is just about being pessimistic, but it's far deeper than that. The words you speak to yourself create the reality you live in. Every time you say, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never succeed," "I always mess things up," you are programming your subconscious to believe it. And what does your subconscious do? It shapes your actions, your behaviors, your energy, all to match that belief. You start to attract situations that reinforce it. You start to see evidence of your own limitations everywhere. And here's the secret most people don't realize: your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a joke and a real statement. When you casually say, "Ugh, I'm so stupid," your subconscious takes it as a command. It locks it in. It makes it part of your identity. And every time you repeat it, you are reinforcing that identity. Imagine planting a tiny seed of doubt in your mind.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
If you keep watering it, feeding it, giving it attention, it will grow into a massive tree that blocks out the light. That's what negative self-talk does to your frequency. It lowers your vibration because it keeps you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and limitation. But the moment you become aware of it, you can start to shift. You can start replacing those thoughts with empowering ones. You can start speaking to yourself like someone you love. And when you do that, your entire energy shifts. Your reality shifts. You start to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You start to attract people who uplift you instead of dragging you down. You start to move differently, think differently, exist differently. And that's how you raise your frequency. But negative self-talk is just the beginning. The second habit is even more insidious: consuming low-vibrational content. I think about it. Every time you scroll through social media, binge-watch mindless shows, or surround yourself with negativity, you are feeding your mind with energy. And energy is contagious. If you are constantly consuming news filled with fear, scrolling through arguments and drama, engaging in gossip, or watching content that promotes emptiness over meaning, you are lowering your vibration without even realizing it. Your subconscious absorbs everything. If you surround yourself with chaos, your inner world becomes chaotic. If you fill your mind with low-energy content, your own energy lowers to match it. And here's the scary part: most of us do this unconsciously. We think we're just entertaining ourselves, but in reality, we are programming ourselves. We are shaping our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs. And if we're not careful, we start to live life on autopilot, reacting instead of creating, absorbing instead of radiating. But the moment you take control of what you feed your mind, everything changes. Imagine waking up and instead of reaching for your phone to scroll through negativity, You start your day with something that expands you, reading an insightful book, meditating, listening to something that inspires you. Imagine making a conscious decision to fill your mind with things that elevate you instead of things that drain you. What would that do to your energy? How would that change the way you show up in life? And now, let's talk about the third habit: holding on to past pain. This one is tricky because most of us don't even realize we're doing it. We think we've moved on, but deep down, we're still carrying the weight of old wounds, still holding on to resentment, still replaying past mistakes in our minds. And every time we do, we lower our frequency. Imagine trying to fly, but you're holding on to a heavy anchor. No matter how hard you flap your wings, you can't lift off. That's what unhealed pain does to your energy. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you small. It keeps you repeating the same patterns over and over again because you haven't released the emotional weight that's been holding you down. And here's the truth: healing isn't about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about changing the way you carry it. It's about deciding that your past will not define your future. It's about forgiving not for them, but for you. It's about letting go, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. And the moment you truly release that weight, your frequency skyrockets. You feel lighter. You feel freer. And suddenly life starts moving again. Doors open. Opportunities flow. Because you're no longer energetically tangled in the past. So, let me ask you, what are you still holding on to? What past pain? What old wound? What resentment is still living inside you? And what would happen if you finally let it go? The next habit is one that almost everyone is guilty of, and yet it's one of the most dangerous for your energy. It's seeking external validation. The moment you tie your worth to other people's opinions, you give away your power. You lower your frequency because you become dependent on something outside of yourself to feel whole. And the problem with that, it's never enough. You get one compliment, and you feel good for a moment, but then you need another, and another. And when you don't get it, you start to doubt yourself. You start to feel small, unworthy, invisible. But here's the truth: your value has nothing to do with how others see you. It has nothing to do with likes, followers, approval, or validation. Your worth is intrinsic. It's something you were born with. And the moment you stop seeking it outside of yourself, you reclaim your power. You raise your frequency because you are no longer chasing, no longer grasping, no longer needing anyone else to tell you that you are enough. You already know it, you feel it, you embody it. And when you do that, something incredible happens. The world starts to reflect it back to you. People are drawn to your energy, not because you need them to be, but because your light is undeniable. And finally, the last habit, the one that quietly drains your energy without you even realizing it. It's resisting the present moment. How often do you find yourself wishing you were somewhere else? Wishing things were different? Stuck in your head, replaying the past or worrying about the future? Every time you do that, you are rejecting the only moment that truly exists, the now. And the now is the only place where your power is. The more you resist it, the more you lower your frequency. But the moment you fully accept the present, fully surrender to what is, fully embrace this exact moment with all its imperfections, that's when your energy shifts. That's when you align with flow. That's when you tap into the infinite power of now. So now, I ask you, what would happen if you stopped waiting? What would happen if you stopped resisting? What would happen if, right now, you decided to be fully here, fully alive, fully present? The hidden energy traps you never knew were draining you. We often think of energy as something physical: how much sleep we got, how much coffee we drank, how much work we did. But real energy, the kind that shapes your entire reality, is something far deeper. It's the unseen force that determines whether you feel alive or exhausted, whether you attract abundance or struggle, whether life flows effortlessly or feels like an uphill battle. And the truth is, most people are leaking energy without even realizing it. They are caught in invisible traps, subtle, silent, but incredibly powerful patterns that slowly drain them, keeping them stuck in lower frequencies. And until you become aware of these traps, you will always feel like you're running on empty, no matter how much you rest, no matter how hard you try. Today, we're going to expose them, because the moment you see them, you reclaim your power. And when you reclaim your power, everything changes. One of the biggest energy traps is emotional suppression. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that certain emotions are bad: anger, sadness, fear, frustration. So what do? We push them down. We pretend they don't exist. We distract ourselves, numb ourselves, keep ourselves busy so we don't have to feel. But energy doesn't just disappear. When you suppress an emotion, you don't get rid of it, you store it. It stays in your body, in your subconscious, in your nervous system, weighing you down like invisible chains. And over time, it becomes exhaustion, anxiety, even physical illness. This is why so many people feel drained without knowing why, because they are carrying years of unprocessed emotions inside them. And here's the truth: emotions are not meant to be suppressed, they are meant to be felt. They are energy in motion. If you allow yourself to fully feel an emotion, without judgment, without resistance, it moves through you. It releases. It releases. And when it does, you free up an incredible amount of energy. Imagine all the energy you've spent holding back tears, biting your tongue, pretending you're okay when you're not. Now imagine what would happen if you released it all. If you stopped fighting your emotions and started allowing them to flow, you would feel lighter. You would feel clearer. Your frequency would rise effortlessly, because you would no longer be using your energy to suppress what wants to be expressed. Another powerful energy trap is overthinking. The mind is a beautiful tool, but for most people, it has become their prison. They are trapped in an endless loop of thoughts, analyzing, worrying, replaying, predicting. And the mind, when left unchecked, becomes a black hole for energy. It keeps you stuck in the past, obsessing over things you can't change. It pulls you into the future, making you anxious about things that haven't happened yet. It fills your head with constant noise, leaving no space for peace, for intuition, for clarity. And the most dangerous part: most people don't even realize they are doing it. They think it's normal. They think it's just who they are. But once you see the pattern, you can break it. You can start choosing presence over thought. You can start recognizing when your mind is pulling you into an endless cycle, and you can step out of it. Because the truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. And when you learn to detach from the constant mental chatter, you reclaim an immense amount of energy. You stop leaking your power into imaginary problems, and you bring your focus back to the only place where life actually happens, this moment. But there's another trap, one that is even more subtle, even more deceptive, and that is energetic entanglement with other people's emotions. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt heavy? Have you ever talked to someone and after they left felt drained? That's because energy is contagious, and if you are not aware of it, you will absorb other people's emotions without even realizing it. Most people are carrying not just their own energy, but the energy of everyone they interact with: family, friends, co-workers, even strangers on the internet. If you are constantly taking on other people's negativity, their stress, their worries, their fears, your frequency will always be at the mercy of your environment. But here's the thing: you are not responsible for carrying anyone else's energy. You are allowed to protect your space. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away from conversations that drain you. And when you start doing that, you will notice an immediate shift. You will feel lighter, clearer, more yourself. because you will no longer be drowning in energy that was never yours to hold. And now, the most dangerous energy trap of all, living out of alignment with your truth. Nothing lowers your frequency faster than betraying yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you shrink yourself to fit in, every time you ignore your intuition, you are cutting yourself off from your own power. And the more you do it, the more disconnected you feel, the more exhausted you become. Because deep down, your soul knows. It knows when you are not being true to yourself. It knows when you are living a life that is not yours. And it will keep whispering to you, keep nudging you, keep making you feel restless until you listen. Because the truth is, your energy cannot thrive in a life that is not authentic to you. You cannot be fully alive if you are constantly suppressing who you really are. And the moment you start honoring your truth, speaking it, living it, embodying it, you will feel an instant shift. Your energy will rise. Your clarity will return. And life will begin to flow in a way that feels effortless, because you are finally aligned with your own essence. So now, let me ask you, where are you leaking energy? Where are you suppressing emotions, overthinking, absorbing negativity, betraying your own truth? And what would happen if you stopped? What would happen if, starting today, you chose to reclaim your energy? Breaking free, how to instantly shift into a higher frequency. Most people think that raising their frequency is something that takes years of work, something that requires deep spiritual mastery or endless self-improvement. But what if I told you that shifting into a higher frequency is something you can do instantly? What if I told you that the only thing keeping you stuck in lower vibrations is not the external world, not your circumstances, but your own state of being, and that at any moment you have the power to change it? Right now, in this very second, you are either in alignment or you are not. You are either expanding or contracting. You are either open to life or resisting it. And the moment you decide to shift, everything follows. Your energy changes, your perspective changes, your reality changes. Because reality, at its core, is just a reflection of your inner world. The way you feel, the way you think, the way you move through life, it all sends out a frequency. And the universe responds to that frequency. So the real question is, how do you shift it? How do you raise your vibration and step into a higher state of being right now? The first and most powerful way is through awareness. Most people don't even realize when they're in a low frequency. They get caught up in their emotions, their worries, their habits without ever questioning them. But the moment you become aware, the moment you recognize, oh, I'm in a low frequency right now, you create distance between yourself and that state. You stop identifying with it. And the second you stop identifying with it, you can change it. I think about it, have you ever been in a bad mood and then suddenly something happened that snapped you out of it? A song came on that lifted your spirits. A friend made you laugh. You had a moment of clarity that made you realize how small your problems actually were. That shift didn't take years. It didn't even take minutes. It was instant. And that's because your state is always fluid. You are never stuck. You are never trapped. You are only as limited as your awareness allows you to be. But awareness alone isn't enough. You also have to choose a higher frequency. And this is where most people get stuck, because they wait. They wait for something external to change before they allow themselves to feel good. They wait for success, for love, for validation, for some magical moment when everything aligns. But the truth is, if you are waiting to feel good, you will never feel good. Because frequency is not a reaction, it's a decision. It's something you cultivate from within, regardless of what's happening outside of you. And the moment you take responsibility for your own frequency, you reclaim your power. You stop depending on circumstances. You stop letting the external world dictate your internal state. You start realizing that happiness, peace, joy, these are not things you find, they are things you generate. They are always available to you. The only question is, are you choosing them? One of the fastest ways to shift your frequency is through movement. Energy is not meant to be stagnant, yet most people live their lives sitting, slouching, stuck in the same repetitive patterns. Their body holds on to stress, tension, unprocessed emotions. And when your body is stiff, your energy is stiff. That's why when you feel low, one of the best things you can do is move. Dance, jump, stretch, shake off the energy that's weighing you down. Have you ever noticed how children naturally do this? When they feel something, they express it. They run, they jump, they laugh, they cry. They don't suppress, they let energy move through them. And because of that, their frequency is naturally high. We, as adults, have forgotten this. We have become disconnected from our own energy. But the moment you reconnect, when you start using your body as a tool to shift your state, you tap into something powerful. You realize that you don't have to sit in low vibrations. You don't have to stay stuck. You can shake things up, literally. And when you do, you'll notice something incredible. Your mind follows your body. The moment you change your physical state, your emotional state shifts too. But perhaps the most overlooked key to instantly raising your frequency is gratitude. It sounds simple, almost cliché, but the power of gratitude is beyond what most people realize. Because here's the truth: you cannot be in a state of gratitude and a low frequency at the same time. It's impossible. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrational states you can enter. It immediately shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from what's missing to what's already here. And the best part, you don't need anything external to feel it. You don't have to wait for something big to happen. You can choose gratitude right now. You can look around and find 100 things to appreciate: the air in your lungs, the sun on your skin, the fact that you are alive, breathing, experiencing this moment. And the more you train your mind to focus on what's good, the more your energy rises, the more your frequency elevates, the more life starts responding to you in ways that reflect that abundance back to you. But here's the real secret: the moment you raise your frequency, you become a magnet. You start attracting things effortlessly. Opportunities, synchronicities, the right people, the right experiences. Things that once felt impossible start flowing into your life, not because you worked harder, but because you are now operating on a level where those things naturally exist. I think about it: if you are in a low frequency, filled with doubt, fear, resistance, you are not a match for abundance, for love, for joy. But the moment you shift, the moment you start embodying those higher states, life meets you there. You don't chase, you attract. You don't struggle, you align. And that's when the magic happens. So now I ask you, what would happen if, right now, you decided to shift? If you stopped waiting, stopped making excuses, stopped believing the lie that you are stuck? What if, in this very moment, you chose to step into a higher frequency, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now? Because the truth is, your power is here. Your freedom is here. Your highest self is here. The only thing standing in your way is the belief that you are not ready. But you are. You always have been. The only question is, will you choose it? Unlocking the ultimate state, becoming a living magnet for miracles. There is a state of being where everything flows effortlessly, where life unfolds in perfect synchronicity, where opportunities, love, abundance, and joy seem to follow you wherever you go. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is a frequency, a state of alignment so powerful that reality itself bends to match it. This is the state where miracles happen. And the truth is, this state is not reserved for a chosen few. It is not something you need to earn. It is something you can step into at any moment if you have the awareness, the courage, and the willingness to embody it. Most people live life reacting. They wake up and immediately check their phone, absorbing other people's energy before they've even connected with their own. They move through their day on autopilot, letting circumstances dictate their mood, their thoughts, their energy. They wait for something external to give them permission to feel good. And in doing so, they become slaves to their environment, constantly chasing, constantly seeking, constantly feeling like something is missing. But the ones who unlock the ultimate state, the ones who become magnets for miracles, they operate differently. They do not wait. They do not chase. They become what they wish to attract. And in doing so, life cannot help but reflect it back to them. I think about it, have you ever met someone whose energy was so magnetic, so powerful, that just being around them felt different? They weren't necessarily the loudest person in the room. They weren't trying to impress anyone, but something about them felt different, like they were tapped into something beyond the ordinary. That is the energy of alignment. That is the energy of someone who has decided that they are worthy, that they are enough, that they are already everything they have ever been searching for. And because of that decision, the world moves for them. So how do you step into this state? How do you become a living magnet for miracles? The answer is simple but not easy. You embody the energy of what you desire before it has arrived. You do not wait for love to show up before you feel loved, you become love. You do not wait for abundance to arrive before you feel abundant, you embody abundance. You do not wait for external validation to feel worthy, you own your worth now. And the moment you do this, the moment you stop looking outside of yourself for the things you seek, the universe rushes to meet you where you already are. Because the truth is, reality is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Every thought, every emotion, every belief is a signal you are sending out. And the universe, like a mirror, simply reflects it back. Most people live in a state of resistance, constantly focusing on what they lack, what they don't have, what isn't working. And in doing so, they are unknowingly asking for more of the same. But those who shift into the ultimate state, those who become magnetic to miracles, they have mastered one thing. They focus only on what they wish to expand. They train their mind to see possibility where others see obstacles. They cultivate gratitude in moments where others would complain. They hold the frequency of their highest vision even when their external world has not caught up yet. And because of this, life moves for them. Doors open where there were once walls. The right people, the right opportunities, the right experiences appear as if by magic, not because they are lucky, but because they have aligned themselves with the reality they wish to experience. So now I ask you, what would happen if you stopped doubting, if you stopped resisting, if you stopped waiting for a sign and realized that you are the sign? What would your life look like if, starting today, you decided to embody the highest version of yourself, not tomorrow, not when things get better, but right now? Because the truth is, your frequency is your reality. And the moment you master it, you become unstoppable. You become limitless. You become a magnet for everything you have ever desired, not by chasing, but by being. And that is the secret. That is the key. That is how you unlock the ultimate state. The only question is, are you ready?